Hey, everybody. Welcome to Necessity versus Commodity. I have an amazing, amazing individual today, Harlan Ryker. If you don't know him from the online space, he has been a sales closer, run the gamut on different offers, probably well over several $1 million worth of sales himself. Also, he has Nomadic Closer, where he helps amazing businesses find phenomenal sales reps and probably
Mhm.
collectively tens of millions of dollars in sales because of that. And then Buying Beast, which I would love to do another podcast on, which where he helps people buy online assets to generate
Mhm.
more income, which is another amazing thing. So you might know him from one of those three, maybe all of those three. I think he's got a Morgan Freeman type of voice in the space. He carries them amazingly. We're not going to be just talking sales tactics today. We're actually going to talk about some things that aren't really talked about in this space and how you show up on a call, how leadership, conviction, confidence, how that comes through. And Harlan is someone that the moment he starts speaking, you're going to feel it right off the bat. But you have to understand, he came from pennies in his pockets, a decade of fighting depression,
Mhm.
and overcoming all of that to achieve what many people actually desire to hop in the online space for, which is kind of living this nomadic life, making amazing income while doing it, having fun, and serving and helping a ton of people. So, welcome to the show, Harlan. I
Ah,
excited to have you, man.
hey, thank you, buddy. Phenomenal intro as well. Much appreciated.
So, one thing I wanted to talk to you about today was you put a post out the other day
Hmm.
of, hey, there's so much sales tactic out there. There's so many things. Hey, say it this way, do it this way,
Hmm.
front end close, back end, all of these things that are reading from a script. And I
Yeah, yeah.
believe that you should have a script, but I believe you should. I normally teach my clients more about frameworks and
Hmm.
understanding the process. A sales process is a sales structure. Where are you now? Where were you? Why haven't you changed? Making a commitment to change. What if you don't change? It's not that complicated, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But to lead someone through that process is what's difficult. And
Mm.
your leadership on calls is something that I believe is one of those intangibles that a lot of sales professionals miss out. So, looking at some of the intangibles that you bring to a call, why do you think you're so successful on sales calls?
There's a lot of different reasons as to why someone is or is not successful on calls. And to your point, I do agree. It doesn't necessarily come from just reading a script. A monkey could do that. That's-
Yep.
You're not going to be a great salesperson just by doing it. I think what it really comes down to, the intangibles, as you say, is internal mastery. If you know who you are, that you're a good person, you have strong ethics, morals, values, you put yourself in uncomfortable positions consistently, just like you ask your prospects to. There's a level of congruence that comes across that most people will never have on a call. If you're asking someone to invest 30 grand, $100,000 in something, you've never even thought about investing that much money in something, it's going to be very difficult because you don't know what that feels like. And on the other side of it as well, when you are, I would say, congruent with what you say is what you do, and that especially goes for yourself. A lot of salespeople lie to themselves. I'm going to call 50 people today, and they call 10. I'm going to do this. Don't know why there's balloons on my screen. But you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of incongruencies and lying to themselves, which over time it adds up. And I've used this example a few times with some of my coaching clients. If you had a friend and you said, "Hey, I want to meet at the gym tomorrow at 10 a.m. We're going to train legs." 10 a.m. tomorrow comes, they're not there. They're like, "Oh, sorry, man. I just missed it. It's been my bad." You do it again the next day. 10 a.m. Hey, man, we're going to train back today. All right, 10 a.m. See you there. They don't show up. If you do that enough times, you're going to completely lose trust in that friend.
Agreed.
But you allow yourself to do it to you. I would rather people lie to other people than lie to themselves. Because what will happen is if you never lie to yourself, the likelihood of you lying to other people is essentially zero. And then what happens on your calls? You're so much more powerful because you do what you say you will do in all aspects of your life, and the prospects can feel that. You're a different type of person. Because they're, especially in B2C, they're coming in with mindset issues and they've never made a hard decision and all this. And you've done the internal work to make sure that you're past that stage because you know what it feels like. You've been there. It didn't just magically happen, but you've consistently worked on yourself. So now when you're on this call with this person who does have mindset issues, who's scared, who's fearful, who wants to speak with their partner or whatever it is, you can call them out on their bullshit straight away. And you don't feel bad for doing it because you know that's the right thing to do. Them going away and thinking about something which you know can change their life, it's not going to serve them any way. Because I mean, dude, you and I both know, Scott, someone who says I want to think about it leaves that call, they ain't never talking to you again.
It's a rarity, that's for sure. And
Exactly. It's different if
you,
it's logistical, right? But fear,
yeah.
think about it, no chance. You're gone.
Well, and you bring up congruency, and there are certain people in the space that they talk about that. I'm glad you went deeper into what that really truly means, and you
Mm.
give people a little bit of an insight why it's important. Like there, I love the fact that 5 years ago I moved sales calls to Zoom because 85% of communication is nonverbal, and people pick up so much stuff off of you. So when you're being congruent in your lifestyle, like you said, you're following through on what you say you're going to do. That comes across when you're speaking to somebody.
Yeah.
Looking at being a leader to someone on a call and leading them, because like you said, there's certain offers. Like I was in fitness for 20 years. I used to help
Mm.
people reverse rheumatoid arthritis. These people, number one, their worldview, I can't change. I'm not good enough. This is impossible, especially with rheumatoid arthritis. The medical community said it's not possible. It's uncurable. Like you're telling me something different. Having conversation to shift someone's perspective into yours takes a level of ability and leadership. And so that congruency, like you said, hey, how can you tell someone to go invest $100,000 when you won't even invest $100 in yourself?
Hmm.
So when you're being that person and leading someone, how do you actually communicate that verbally sometimes when you need to get to actually be that leader when they're giving you what you know is a BS type of answer?
Oh man, there's loads of ways. One of my favorites is I almost ask for permission to slap them in the face. I'll say, "Hey man, I hear what you're saying, but can I can I just be brutally honest with you here? Yeah, and no hard feelings if I step on any toes, yeah, yeah."
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
And
please.
then boom, just fucking destroy them. But you destroy them with honesty and the truth. You're not, there's no emotions involved. And I think that's incredibly key. One of the things that holds so many salespeople back is they get emotional on calls. I'm not saying they're crying or whatever, right?
Yep.
But what they're doing is a prospect has a problem and they laugh about it with the prospect. It's not funny. Someone hasn't made the amount of money they want to earn for the last 5 years and they've done nothing about it. And then you have a laugh and a joke about that. I wouldn't laugh at that. I'd be extremely, extremely fucking disappointed with myself if that was me. And they should be too. So you have to call them out on that. Or if they're being incongruent and they're saying like, "Oh yeah, I really want this," and later in the call they want that, you got to be like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 hold on, man. Earlier in the call you mentioned that you wanted this, and now you're saying this. Like, which one is it?" And I'm not angry, I'm not emotional, I'm not judging them. I'm just saying facts. Because what generally happens is if you're asking logical and truthful questions, the emotions will come out from the prospect anyway. But if you're asking in an emotional way, it's not going to help them. You need to be the rock amongst the waves, not the waves themselves. Because, and again, I think this is much more common in B2C because I mostly sell B2B now. In B2C, you deal with a lot of broken people. And one of my first mentors, he said this to me, and it changed the way I view the world, is that we live in a broken planet of broken people. And it is your job to be one of the few people who is actually in control. Take responsibility, never be a victim. Every single thing is your fault. Because if it's your fault, you can control it. But if it's, oh, this happened, it was not my control, you're a victim straight away. I take responsibility for shit there's nothing to do with me because then I can do something about it.
I couldn't agree more. And I think people should definitely go back and rewind because there are people that will use that line in script and try to call somebody out. But when you did it to me, it's a level of conviction and confidence that's there, and it's
Mm,
putting someone in their place. And so who you are comes through, and why that congruency and that
mhm,
leadership in your own life and a rock to be in your own life is such a major factor when you're on a call. And I see
mm.
that with a lot of sales reps that either don't believe in the offer, they don't believe in themselves, they don't believe that the marketing's right. How could you have any sort of level of confidence or conviction on your call? And people are going to fall through that and see through it subconsciously and consciously. And you're pretty much going to lose a sale just by opening your mouth.
That's a good point you make there as well. A lot of people don't believe in their offers. If you sell something you don't believe in, stop fucking selling it and sell something else.
Agreed.
You should only sell good shit. Sell the best, nothing else. Because when you have the best product, you know that it does what it says, the fulfillment is there. You guys fucking crush it for your clients. Pushing back on someone that wants to think about it or talk with the wife, speak with their dog or their cat or whatever, you have much more conviction to say, well, no, in your own mind, right? You're not going to say that to the prospect.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it's incredibly important that your offer is aligned with you. Like, for me, I've never sold fitness. I'm sure I would crush it if I did. I prefer speaking with high level people because the conversations are much more interesting for me. Other people love B2C. They fucking thrive in that. But then it's also about what offer are you selling? You know, you can sell fitness, you can sell coaching, you can sell a course, a training, a mastermind, anything. As long as you know that what you're selling is something that will get the person where they want to be, providing that they implement it and blah, 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 you should feel convicted about that. But if you're
Agreed.
selling some automation that the fulfillment's terrible and no one gets a result, stop fucking selling it.
Yeah.
I was selling something, I was making 20K a month doing it part time. The fulfillment broke and I just stopped selling it straight away. Could have kept going, 20K a month, it's not bad. But I just said, no, I'm not doing that. Like it would be unethical of me because it goes against my morals and values to put someone in something that I know isn't going to work.
When you brought something up really important there as well of, is it actually what you're selling? Is it top level stuff?
Mm.
And as sales reps, sometimes we're on offers that aren't the best. And if I'm interviewing a client to see if I'm going to take them on to do their branding and marketing and build that out, part of that interview is how they actually talk about what they're doing for someone's life. Because if I don't
Mm.
feel the conviction in them, I'm not going to bring them on as a client because I know that they're not going to have the confidence to sell it. It doesn't matter how good the marketing is.
Mm.
If you're just trying to make a dollar off anybody just to make a dollar, good luck. Go find somebody else. I'm not interested. When you look at a brand new rep starting, they're not able to sometimes get on an offer that they want to be and might be the best. So how do you keep that leadership, that confidence, that certainty if you're wavering in doubt there a little bit? Because I know you've been on offers like that when you've started.
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course, right? I mean, the way that I would do it, man, is like if I'm getting new into sales, don't try and be a closer straight off the gate. Like just don't. Be an outbound dialer for 3, 4 months. And you can do that with a good company because those leads that you're outbound dialing don't really cost them anything. If you're willing to come in, work super fucking hard, just destroy everyone with your output, they'll recognize it very quickly. It also puts you in a position where you have to work really hard. You learn what hard work is, which then transfers to when you're doing inbound calls and setting, and then doing inbound calls and closing. You have a stronger backbone. No one should expect if they come into sales today who's never sold anything that you're going to be a closer. It would be unethical of me to tell you that that can be the case, unless you're a savant or maybe a psychopath, right? And you're fantastic at lying, maybe. But in general, it's just not the case. Like I've been selling, quote unquote, for well over a decade, and I only started getting good at it like 3, 4 years ago. Time takes time. And anyone that because you've seen this, man, people come into the space and then within a year they're making stupid money, but then you don't know the backstory. Like, well, how have they done it? Well, they're 40 years old and they've actually sold loads of things before being in this space for the last 20 years. And now they're making good money. If you do this for 20 years, you invest more in yourself, you work harder, you actually implement every single training you ever go on, you'll destroy them when you get to 20 years in. You'll be triple what they're earning. But I
When
think,
you bring up something unique there, talking about someone 40, like a lot of people don't look at people's back history.
yeah,
Again, I was in hit. I did fitness. I had my own brick and mortar business in fitness. I did sales for a long time before I moved to the remote space. And so that comparison is such a thief, right?
yeah,
And it was why I was able to move into the online space and be known pretty quickly and have some really good success and through that process. And we all still learn.
mm,
You brought something up that I want to touch base on because you said, hey, I didn't become really good until 3 years ago. I was actually going to ask the question from when you started to where you are now. You brought up like one of your first mentors. What were a couple defining moments, or maybe that one defining moment that you're like, that is actually one thing shifted, not in like the script, not in the frameworks, but it shifted inside me that immediately had that tangible effect on the way that you're showing up on calls, your closing percentage, and that's where you really skyrocketed. Do you have a moment that you can think about?
I do, yeah. So I was on an offer that I was selling for about a year or so, and I was earning maybe 3K a month, right? So this is my first online high ticket sales offer. And what I did the entire time is every single spare dollar I had went on to training, all of it. And then I got to, I think it was the following January, I was earning 3K, and then I did seven, and then I did 14, and then I did 26, and so on and so forth. And the thing that shifted is the company said, hey man, if you don't pick up your shit, you're going to be fired. The pressure of that made me just have a fire under me that I'd never had. And I needed it at the time
Yeah.
because I had somewhat of an internal pressure, but it was never really there. I never had a reason for doing what I'm doing. I just wanted to make money. And I think that's really the thing for people is if they know why they are doing what they are doing, not just to make money, but they have a mission of goals and a purpose for behind why they're in these calls every day, all day for 10, 12 hours a day, your output will be so much stronger and more powerful. It's, I was doing a training this morning, actually. We kind of covered some of this, where a lot of the people on that team, they're not performing very well. And I said, well, what would you rate your performance on a scale of 1 to 10? Everyone was a five or maybe a six. And I said to them all straight up, I was like, listen, if you were on my team, I would have fired all of you, every single one, because it's not good enough. And I'm telling you today, man, their output is going to be higher than it's ever been. But what I also said to them is that you're all missing something very important. You have no mission. Like one of the guys has kids, the other are they're younger people. And so what I said to them is like, listen, you need to have a very, very clear point which you are working towards and a reason for it. For example, like earning $1 million over the next 3 years so you can invest into 20 different real estate properties that cash flow you 20, 30K a month so that you never have to actually work again. And then backtrack exactly how much money that is on a daily basis. Like, 1,400 and something bucks, whatever it is. And have it on your fucking desk. Every day, that's what you see. And that number reminds you of that's why I'm here. Now you have more pressure. Pressure makes diamonds, right? Like
Yeah.
every single thing that is good in your life has come from pressure. Your parents will have pressured you to brush your teeth in the morning. You were pressured to do your homework at school. You were pressured to study for your exams. Everything that has come as a positive result has usually come from some form of pressure, just like being an athlete or anything. And a lot of salespeople, they're too comfortable. They earn enough money to cover their bills and maybe go on a holiday once or twice a year. But that's where they stop. They don't have any more forward thinking of, oh, actually, I'm not happy with this. I want to be getting to this point specifically. And to do that, I need to do this much money every single day in commission.
Yeah.
That's one of the big things. That's what changed for me. I was going to lose my job, and I was like, fuck, I need to do something. And then I wrote down my goals and how I'm going to do it. And I listened back through all my trainings that weekend, worked the whole time. And then my income doubled, doubled again, and doubled again within 3 months.
Yeah. Well, and you brought up several key points there. So many people get in the online space because they see someone like you. Oh my gosh, he's making 20K a month, 50K a month. Oh, he's got these multiple businesses and come in chasing a number like $50,000, right? And this also goes back to sales calls. But as a sales professional, the moment that you have a little resistance, that 50,000 goes out the window because it means nothing. And it's so important to actually have that anchor. And that's super good advice. And if you're a sales rep out there right now and you're not where you're at, you should do exactly what Harlan just said. Write down those goals, because I've got certain things on my desk too that keep my focus. Like, this is driving me forward here. This is driving me forward here. One of the, having a mission statement that drives you forward. Even if you're a sales rep, you're a business owner, it doesn't matter. Having that mission statement of who you are, so you're showing up in that level of authority, confidence, certainty. This is what I'm doing. I'm getting it done today. So I put my nose to the ground and work the field in front of me. And to your point, the moment you started doing that consistently, 90 days later, you skyrocketed. And a lot of people hit that back spot internally. So you have some of the technical stuff, you have all that type of stuff. What was the internal shift that happened there? Talking about pressure, some people don't get turned into diamonds. They just fold like a cheap chair.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if you're a sales professional and you're folding like a cheap chair, is sales not for you and you should just get out? Or is there a way to actually overcome that and be the person that does become the diamond?
It depends how bad you want it. So for me, I'd had a goal of earning 10K a month for, oh, God, since I was like 14 years old. Never did it. And then when I did it, because that's what initially drove me, is I need to hit these numbers. I did it and it meant nothing. I was like, oh, I got to do 20 then. And I did that, meant nothing. And then I had this almost epiphany that I'd been chasing the wrong thing. And I think this is a really key lesson for everyone in sales and just in life. The best analogy I have for it is if anyone ever has played a video game, could be fucking Mario, it could be Call of Duty, whatever. At what point does the game stop being fun? Usually when you complete it. You've done it all now. That's you. When you attach your happiness, your fulfillment, your reason for being to an outcome, 10K a month, 20K a month, buying the house, buying the car, blah, blah, blah. The second you get it, you'll feel maybe happy for a moment, but then you'll think, well, what now? Everything is gone at that point. So circling back to the gaming analogy, the most fun part of the game is playing it. It's playing the game. So on a day-to-day basis, man, like the thing that, for me at least, what really changed after I'd made the money was, okay, well, what brings me fulfillment? And I had a very big, long think about that. I was having like an early life crisis, I was lying on the floor staring at the ceiling, wondering what the fuck I'm doing with my life. And then it kind of dawned on me, the thing that really gets me fulfillment is it's really twofold. It's making a meaningful difference to other people and seeing myself improve so I can help more people. That's the thing that gives me more fulfillment than anything else. And that's what I chase now. Like I have very specific goals. I know why I want them. I know who I want to help, and I know why I want to help them. Because nothing makes you feel better than helping someone who needs it.
Agreed.
Nothing. Like you coach people in sales, right?
Yep.
When one of your students, they get a massive win, they're like, man, I just broke this in my sales this month. Like, oh my God, you didn't make that money yourself, but you're like, fucking yes, mate. Come on. I had one of my old students text me yesterday, just did 13K a month. When I met him, he'd made like 5 grand in his first like 8 months doing sales. Crazy.
Yeah.
Like mental. But all he did is just implemented the shit that I'd taught him, ran with it, and just kept improving. And then I see that and I'm like, brother, fucking yes, mate. Come on. Let's go. That is the great thing.
Yeah, and talking about what fulfills you is super, super important. Going back to my fitness background, I loved, to your point, you're changing someone's life. You're giving them the ability to actually transform and hit
Hmm.
things that they never even thought possible. Um, when I moved into the online space, it was one of my concerns about giving that up. And to your point, like at a client yesterday, just working with, we were 2 hours, we were diving through his webinar. We were adjusting things piece by piece by piece by piece to fix all the objections, how people were showing up. And at the very end of it, he just goes, Scott, I just want to let you know you're doing God's work. Thank you for this. I've never been so excited about my offer than what we just did today. Not only do I know I'm in a better place, I know the people coming to me are going to be in a better place. And I won't be able to sleep tonight because I'm so freaking excited. And to be able to help somebody through that is so powerful in that fulfillment. And it does fulfill you. It's not just the money aspect. And money dies. Money comes and goes. It's not a driver most people have, right? And so I think that's really important. So looking at a sales rep, it's one reason why I enjoy doing sales because,
Mm.
and you brought it up earlier, B2B. I prefer that as well. It's way different conversations than a B2C offer. I do like those conversations are a little bit more technical, a little bit more specific. It's just something I enjoy more because I love that strategic part of certain things. Being a sales rep, how do you find that fulfillment in yourself if you don't feel like you have it right now?
Mm. I think it's one of these unfortunate things in life, man, is time takes time. You got to get kicked in the teeth enough and fail enough times to where you actually figure that shit out. Because what fulfills everyone is not normally the same. There's little nuances to it. I will say for 99% of people, if you help someone, you feel great, right? When you expect nothing from it, you just help them out of the goodness of your own heart and they get something from that in a meaningful way, you just feel good. And I think what salespeople do is they attach to the wrong thing, which is the money. That's why a lot of salespeople get commission breath and they get nervous at the end of the call because they're like, oh, I want to get the sale. I need the sale. I need the sale. When you're detached from that and you're more attached to helping the person, even if that means they don't work with you, but you call them out on your shit, on their shit rather, you're speaking truthfully and honestly, even if the truth does hurt. That's what real kindness is. A lot of salespeople, they're too nice. Niceness is not kindness. It's a very, very different thing. And I think especially for younger people, because this was the case for me, I always wanted to be liked on calls.
Yep.
Super common. Now, I do not give a single shit if someone likes me. And I say this to my coaching students, you may not love me, but you will respect me. My job is not to be your friend, it's to drag you kicking and screaming across the finish line. That's all I care about, man. I care more about their results than they do most of the time. But when you have that expectation and you have that internal fortitude on your calls that I'm not here to be liked, I'm here to get you an outcome that you want. If we can help with that, great. If we can't, fine. Not bothered. You're attaching to helping them. That's more the right thing. Because then when you do it, they join your program, they fucking crush it, they get amazing results. You're there like, fuck yeah, dude, that was great.
Yep.
But the other
And most
side
of
of
the
that
people come
coin,
back and thank you.
exactly, loads of the time.
Yep.
The other side of that coin though is like, as a salesperson as well, if you don't have the internal fortitude to call people out on their shit and you let them get off the line, imagine if the roles were reversed. You spoke with someone who had an opportunity that would change your life forever, and they didn't do everything possible to actually help you get there. And you found out, like you saw through a magical window the life you could have had. How would that make you feel about that person who didn't try and help you to the best of their ability? You'd feel a bit annoyed and a bit resentful because they let you down. That's what a lot of salespeople do is they let their prospects down because they do not have the internal fortitude to just be honest. If
Agreed.
you feel like someone's bullshitting you, tell them. If you know that their thinking patterns are not going to serve them in life, tell them. Because you always think it, but then there's a block between here and here. Just say it. They don't need to like you. Speaking of the mentor I mentioned, his name's Marshall Wilkinson. So he's closed $2.5 billion in deals, right? Before he was 40. He's a very, very heavy hitter.
Is that a lot?
2.5 billion. It's only a
Yeah,
little bit.
it's sarcastic. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
Deep
He's
kind of
yeah,
stuff.
he's an absolute savage, this guy. But yeah, one of the I've sort of lost my trail of thought, but
Sorry about
he's
that.
no, it's fine. So one of the things that he used to tell me was kind of along these lines, right? Of like having the mental fortitude and being able to push people through. Like with logic comes emotion. If you're saying the logical thing, the truthful thing, their emotions will come out. But in business, there is no room for you to be emotional. It will never serve you, ever. If
Agreed.
you're getting anxious or stressed out or a bit worried or whatever, you need to figure out where that comes from. And I guarantee for most people, it's because they're trying to have the person like them and they're worried about what they think about them.
Yeah.
The thing that flips is when you know that you're a good person, you're proud of yourself. You can look yourself in the eyes and say, "I'm proud of you, who you are and who you are becoming." You know that you have amazing morals, ethics, and values that will serve you in life. You'd never lie to yourself. You're always honest and truthful. The people feel that. And the thing I wanted to say is like, on the subject of being liked, this was the analogy that Marshall used on me, and it resonated a lot. Imagine that you were being accused of murder. Sensitive topic, right? It's a pretty serious one. You had a choice between two lawyers. One of the lawyers, lovely guy, really cool dude, very friendly, very likable, very amicable. But he's not the best lawyer in the world. But you like him, he's a good dude. The other lawyer, absolute hard ass motherfucker. He says to you, "Hey man, you'll do what the fuck I tell you. You sit down in court, you shut the fuck up, and you let me do everything." You don't like this guy at all, but he's the best lawyer in the world for your specific case. Who are you going to go with? You're going to go with the guy that you don't really like, but you know he can get the job done.
Yep.
That needs to be you as the salesperson.
Agreed.
Being someone's friend is never going to help you. There's also, and this has probably happened to everyone. This might be a bit easy to understand. So, I mean, Scott, for you, man, right? Like, is there anyone in your life, maybe when you were younger, where you would you'd give them a piece of advice that you know is really good? Like, usually it's a close friend you do this with. They don't take your advice, but you know it's great. 6, 12 months down the line, they've implemented all this advice that you'd given them ages ago. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, man, I saw this video online of this guy who was doing this. I really like him and blah, blah, blah. And now I'm doing all this stuff. Like, it's super cool. I love it." Ever happened?
Oh yeah. Friends, also fitness in business, right? Like and
Right?
my old business partner, I would work with somebody for 6 months. They would kind of die out. They would start working with her. Within a week, that client was coming back. Oh, you'll never guess what she told me. I've been telling you that for 6 months, right?
Right.
Like it happens all the time in life when you
But
really
the
pay
question
attention
is,
to it.
why does that happen?
Yep.
It's because sometimes people are too friendly with that person, and being someone's friend doesn't mean that they're going to take your advice. They go with the person they perceive as the authority and the expert on the topic. That's sales, man.
Yep.
If you're the authority and the expert as far as being congruent, never lying to yourself, having the right morals, ethics, values, thinking patterns, internal fortitude, you're the guy or the girl where people just think there's something different here. They're not letting me get away with my bullshit. Like I'm being called out. And yeah, it's uncomfortable for them, but at the same time, they buy into you. That's real rapport,
Agreed.
not how's the weather? Where are you from? You have a good day?
Yep.
I've never asked those questions ever. Ever on a
It,
sales call.
there's multiple things you just brought up. And so I'm going to bring up what I'm right there. I'm going to want to talk about that. When you start a call and frame it, because I think the very first part of a call is sometimes the most important. You're
Mhm.
setting a level of, hey, we're equals. We're here to solve a problem. And some people teach, hey, so what's the weather? Where you live? Oh, yeah. How are your kids? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, now what I'm here to do for you today is we're going to go through this and go through this, go through this. At the end of the call, I'm expecting either a yes or a no. Like, do you do framing like that at the beginning of a call ever?
No, never do framing like that,
I
man.
I never do framing like that either. I don't
My
think.
my start of the call
serves.
is simple. It doesn't serve anything because like they know you don't give a
Agreed.
shit about the weather and where they're from. Like they know
Nope.
this.
Correct.
It's all fake. And
Yep.
I think it touches on the subject of authenticity. A lot of people in sales, they're not authentic with who they are.
Agreed.
And that's a lot of the time what separates people who are great and those who are not. And it comes back to what I've been talking about, internal fortitude and blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
When you have that, you will be authentic on your calls. If you don't, then you're going to want to be liked and you're going to want to try and almost like manipulate people into doing stuff because you feel like you have to. That's a very different thing. My calls are simple, man. Hey, man, how's it going? Here and see me, okay? Yeah. All right, cool. Well, yeah, look, I just want to have like a no bullshit, simple conversation just to kind of see if we can help you in any way. And then I'll ask whatever my next question would be. Depends on the offer, right? But if it's like
Agreed.
a coaching thing, let's say, so what's the biggest problem you're facing as far as XYZ goes now? Because I framed it as I want to have a no bullshit convo, we'll just get straight into things, man. Like I'm
Yep.
not fucking around.
Yep. And you are confident in actually saying that, right?
Yeah.
And going back to like we were talking about, like people liking you, caring about the person, having your heart in it, and you'll have sales coaches out there like get into your heart. You'll have sales individuals like I'm trying to, I want to love this person, care about this person, but to your point, that they take it the wrong way
Hmm.
and what that truly means, where they're trying to be their friend.
Yes.
Like, oh, I want them to love me. I want to love them. I want to show, and they're trying to reciprocate that. I'm a firm believer that the most loving thing I can do for you is actually tell you the truth. And
And bro,
so
that's
call you out on your
kindness.
bullshit, right?
That's my point. Kindness.
Yes. That's
Kindness
the
is
thing.
the
Beautiful.
main thing.
Yep.
Because and that's the thing, I think that is the exact thing you're saying is that most people they're nice. Nice people, they're never going to win in sales because it doesn't do anything. It's almost like, if one of your friends they have like something in their teeth, right? And you just want to be nice. They're like, "Hey man, my teeth looking all right." They're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, you're fine. Don't worry about it, man." You don't want to offend them. The kind person's just going to pull them aside and say, "Hey man, you got a bit of spinach in your teeth. You might want to, get that out."
Yep.
Yeah, for them they might be a bit embarrassed, but also it's the right thing to do because you're being kind and you're helping them.
Yep.
That's the big difference.
Agreed.
Kindness over niceness all day, every day of the week. But kindness doesn't mean that they're going to like you because you're speaking truthfully and honestly to them. The nice person, it's all
That's
you
key.
almost nice people will do white lies. I think that's what it is. Kind people will never do that. They're just, this is how it is. Here's the cold, hard truth of what's happening right now and what I
Yep.
see coming from you.
Well, and I don't know if you see this on calls, but I see this a lot too, where someone can have a conversation at the beginning. Hey, your life is going like crap. The person's maybe not their, some ball their eyes out. Some are like, hey, yeah, I'm not mentally stable, whatever. You get them to emotional state to say like, hey, life's not good. Well, people don't just buy on that emotion alone. And then later through the sales call, you stop caring about them and you kind of switch into sales mode.
Yeah.
And so you never call them out on their BS. Like you never love them enough to be like, are you actually making a change? You never get that substance, that anchor for them. And that is where majority of sales are dropped. If we go back to like your life, if 2 years before you jumped into sales, and let's say you're in a position where you're really rough off financially, you're mentally not good, and I go, hey, everything's gonna be all right. Just keep going. Like you're gonna be fine. And I be nice to you rather than, hey, Harlan, if you learn this skill and you put this to work every single day, you do this every single day, this is who you are, and actually show a picture of who you are right now in a video. Is that loving enough to get you to become that person? Are you able to shift that person to be able to see that? And when you're nice, you never have that type of conversation where you're being truthful and honest. And that's where like a lot of your leadership, your confidence in yourself and who you are comes through. And it's why it's so important to build that aspect in yourself, right?
Mhm.
How did you do that in yourself? Or what have you give other people advice? Like, dude, I'm just a train wreck. I don't know what. up from down, like I need
Yeah.
your help. Like, what advice would you give somebody if they're struggling in that area?
I was giving some of this advice today to that sales team I mentioned. Um, there's a lot of things that I do personally, and I think the biggest thing is being honest with myself because I never used to be, like I used to, and also don't beat yourself up about shit. Like, it does nothing. The good example of this is like if you imagine every single resentment that you have in your life as like an anchor, the more of those you have, the bigger that weight becomes and the more it will hold you back. If you're able to just let it go, forgive anyone who hurt you, forgive yourself for not doing what you said you would, forgive yourself for not calling these people, forgive your parents for not raising you in the way you felt like you should have been raised, forgive your fucking dad for not being there, whatever. Let it go. Because otherwise you're always going to be thinking about the past, and that's that's what depression is, man. You're thinking about shit that happened in the past and bringing it forward to now, which then makes it real now, but it isn't. There is no past, there is no future, there is just now. It is your choice as to what you do with that. And I think a lot of people they struggle in so many aspects of their life. Like the depression is obviously the thing I can speak on because I've been there and I've done that, right? It's a motherfucker, mate. A lot of people they don't have their heads on straight. And so when I'm speaking with someone, like I'm very good now at seeing if people are actually depressed, even if they tell me they're not.
Yeah.
Like I can see it because I was them for a very long time. And I'll call them out on it. They'll say, "Oh yeah, I'm fine, man." It's like, listen, brother, like you don't have to lie to me, mate. I know you're not. I can see it. And then they'll be like, "Yeah, fuck, you're right, man." Just that. It's like, so what's going on? Like, talk to me. And then they will. But the thing that really builds your character, if you will, and it is the simplest thing. It's just stop fucking lying to yourself. And if you do, forgive yourself for it. And just try not to do it again. Like I used to look myself in the mirror every morning and every evening. And I've given this advice to a lot of people because it's very helpful. You look yourself in the mirror in the eyes and you say, I forgive myself for being a bitch today. I forgive myself for not calling X prospect. I forgive myself for not making the dials I should have made, for not sending the email for this, for this. I forgive my ex for hurting me and breaking my heart in the way that she did. I forgive my parents for blankety blankety blank. I forgive my cousin. I forgive everyone. And I'm proud of me, who I am and who I'm becoming. You do that enough times and you start rewiring your brain. And then okay, now I'm forgiving myself. I now need to have a mission and goals. It's never about the outcome. It's about having something to work towards. Because if you don't, it's like you could drive your car, but if you don't know where you're meant to go with your car, you're just going to end up back home. I know I'm driving to the fucking beach. I'm getting there as quick as I can. You're just going to be circling around in no man's land for the next 5 years. That's what people need to do is be honest with yourself, because then what's going to happen is you'll be honest with other people because you'll see that they're not honest with themselves. And that's the change, the sort of flip that will happen in your life. You've gone from a state of just lying to yourself and telling yourself that's okay to never doing that. And now you see it in your friends, you see it in your family, you see it in people you speak with on calls, you see it in your team members. And then you start just sort of getting better at sales. You may say the same words, but the way you show up on the call is so much more powerful
Agreed.
because now you're becoming one of the few people who is in control of their life. And in this world, man, hardly anyone is. Like that
Agreed.
I talk on religion sometimes because I'm not a religious person. I'd say I'm somewhat spiritual, but one of the things I respect about religion for many people is it gives them a reason for being and it teaches them good ethics, morals, and values. A lot of people, they don't have that. They're just running around trying to figure life out. And that was part of the problem I had in life is you go from being a child and then one day, flip, you're an adult now. Figure it out. There is no path of how to do it for most people. That's why I'm so grateful for my first mentor. I kind of look at him like a second father figure because he taught me what it means to be a man, to be an adult, and what it takes to be successful in life. And I think that's what most people need is they just need someone they can emulate to who does the thing that they want to do. And then you will just pick it up by osmosis. You'll see what they do and the success that they have and the way they speak, the way they act around other people, all of it. And then over time, it won't happen immediately. It may take months or even years. But over time, you'll look back and you'll be like, fuck, like, I can't believe that that's who I used to be.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like now. Like, I look
Yep.
back at my life, I'm like, what the fuck? How have I got here? It's
Yep.
crazy. But
When
I'm
you
so
brought up,
grateful for that. You
when
know,
you brought up
that's
depression being you're living in the past, like I'm a firm believer in that.
hmm
Anxiety is living in the future, right? Like you're
yeah,
not being present and you're letting all these outside things that I got 99 problems are all made up in my head, right?
yeah,
And so if you're showing up to a call depressed, you're holding on to so much, people feel
hmm
that energy.
yep,
Now you're freaking out about you need to make money because you're not closing deals and you're anxious on top of it. People feel that type of stuff just tremendously. I like the fact that you brought up, and I hope people really take it to heart. You said, hey, every single night you were forgiving yourself. I am a
hmm
Christian man. I do believe in Jesus Christ. I do that I give that at the bottom, lay that at the foot of the cross every single day. So I can move forward with that stuff.
yeah,
Now, one of the things, and just to show how powerful it is to say that stuff, one of the things I promised myself I would do with my girls every single night, I say, I love you. I'm proud of you. I think you're absolutely amazing. I'm glad you're mine. And to see the look on their faces every time I say that to them
mhm,
is one of the most priceless things you can ever feel in a person,
yeah,
right? Like it just, and to watch how quickly it changed their life and
mhm,
how it impacts their life every single day and who they've become. We can see those changes really quickly in other people. We often don't see it in ourselves.
nah,
So when we're saying ourselves to ourselves in the mirror, we don't see that change. And there's a part of us that go, like, dude, you're lying to yourself, right? Like that bad voice.
yeah,
But to
yeah,
your point, all of a sudden, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, you're like, dude, or 5 years from now, or how did I end up here? Oh my gosh. It was doing these little things every single day that matter. And that again, that brings out your leadership, that brings out your confidence, your conviction, which is going to totally change the game for you on sales calls, how you just show up in life, really all over, and how you
hugely,
impact people around you.
hugely, man, hugely. Like there's the old analogy, there's the angel and the devil on your shoulder.
Yep.
Part of the job of growing up is you have to learn how to focus more on the angel and less on the devil.
Yep.
Because, and I like the analogy because it's so true. Like Andy Frisella, he says you have your bitch voice and your boss voice, right?
Yep.
Usually the devil, if you will, is your emotional voice, the one that has the anxiety and the depression and the negative thoughts and this and this and this. And the angel is just logical. It's just, hey man, here's how it is. Here's what we can do. Here's what we can do about it. Let's go. If you start listening to that voice more, your life will change very quickly. And I also think people need to learn how to on the judgment on their thoughts. You can't control your thoughts. Like, don't think of a pink elephant. Everyone just thought of a pink elephant.
Yep.
But you can control whether you decide that is a bad thought or a good thought or just nothing. That's in your control. Your
Yep.
judgments on thoughts and the actions you take, nothing else.
Yep.
You can't
And that muscle
just
gets stronger, just like your body, right? And a lot of
exactly,
people understand that.
exactly. And I think, yeah, that's why attaching to outcomes is never helpful.
Agreed.
Because you can't literally crawl through your Zoom, your laptop screen, grab the prospect's credit card and fucking process it. You can't do that. But if you focus on your process, like what you're doing right now, are you listening to this person? You're not just reading your script. Are you listening to them? Are you speaking to them truthfully? Are you acting with high values, ethics, and morals in a kind way that will serve this person? If you focus on that, I guarantee you, you will close so many more deals
Agreed.
rather
And
than
quickly.
I need to get the sale. 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 I want this person to like me. Oh my God. If they don't like me, I won't get the sale. It's the opposite. People don't need to like you. They just need to trust you.
Yep.
And they're two different things.
Yep. And you brought up like Andrew Frisella, you look at David Goggins, toughest man alive. These are people that that if you stepped side by side with them into a back alley, they have your back and you're not going to lose. And that's what people are looking for from a sales professional,
Yeah.
that you're going to have my back. I can't lose. And you're able to express that. And that's part of being able to call them out on their BS, right? To be able to have the confidence in yourself of like, dude, I know what you're saying. I know where you are, but if we step back and we look in the mirror, are the actions you're doing correct, right? To be able to actually have a conversation of shifting their perspective, or them actually, some need to be honest with themselves. You brought that up earlier. Some need to just stop covering it up. But are you a leader that can actually talk to somebody to get to that type of conversation is really important. And to everything that you said through this call has been absolutely amazing of why you've gotten where you are. And I hope everybody watching has gotten a lot out of this. And I do want to have you back on to talk about your buyer beast. And I would love that. If anybody else has any comments on here, wants to hear anything else from Harlan, you can find him on Facebook. There'll be a link. I'll put all those connections on there. I know that both of us have a hard stop today, so I want to respect the time here. We've got a couple minutes. Is there anything you want to end with, Harlan?
People just need to believe in themselves that they can change for the better. Because he who says he can and he who says he cannot is usually right. One of the things I love to think about is when I look at myself, would I follow me into war? If I was in a war and I was leading the army and I was one of the recruits, if I look at that guy, would I follow him into war? That's how you know you're a good leader or not. If you can say, no, I wouldn't trust him. Why? You probably lie to yourself all the time. That's why. But if you think, oh, yeah, absolutely, you're probably already crushing it in sales, smashing it because you believe in yourself. And that's the biggest thing. If you believe in yourself, you will call people out on shit.
Yep.
You trust yourself. That's it. Life can be very complicated if you allow it to be. It's your choice.
Love it. I appreciate it. And again, thanks for coming on. We will schedule something here shortly, and loved having you on. Great conversation. I would love to even do deeper into this conversation if you're open to it as well. So thanks again. Hope you have an amazing weekend, brother.
Hey, it was a pleasure, man. I hope you have a powerful day, and for everyone listening, do the same. Let's rock and roll.